guys. Welcome back to the Rebrand Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the last episode, and we're here to do another one. We're going to have a fun time this time. I'm here again with my brother, Javier Calderon, and Gerson Cardona. And Gerson, tell everybody what we're going to be talking about today.
So we are going to be talking about this topic that has not left me alone all night. And in my mind, I was like, why is this coming up? And why do we need to hear this? So here are the words that I've been sensing. Leave me alone.
Okay.
You know, and I know I didn't give you guys a heads up, too much heads up, because I know where it was going. Sometimes we have plans and we say we want to talk about this, but we want to be honest with you guys. We want to be very upfront, and we're going to share our lives of what's happening in our lives. But we live in a society now that a lot of people want to be left alone. They don't want to be told what to do. Yeah. They don't want to hang out with other people. They don't want to be corrected. They want to be just left alone and mind my own business, and you mind your own business. And I think that's a challenge. From the get-go, I'm going to go real quick to the scripture because we're going to start there. We said that one thing we're going to be faithful is the Bible.
Yes, sir.
We're going to stay in truth, but in the beginning, right from the beginning, it says, the Lord God said, "It is not good for men to be alone. I will make a helper corresponding to him." So for me, it took me to that. Many of us struggle a lot of times because we want to be alone. Or we want to be with the wrong people. And then we're still alone.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Sometimes just because we're in a crowd doesn't mean that we're not alone. Because we're with the wrong people.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about friendships and what we do and who we are. And I chose some wrong people to hang out with growing up. I don't know, you know, we can have many episodes or many conversations about this. But if we are not careful, we will always end up alone. And what does that mean for us as friends, as partners in Christ, as brothers in Christ? What does that mean for us? You know, to tell you the truth, a lot of people don't want to have these conversations. They want to be left alone. Javi, don't tell me what to do, Javi. Leave me alone.
All right.
Andy, that's your truth, Andy, but not my truth.
Right.
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Let me be who I want to be today. You can be whoever you want to be. Or even sometimes, I'm upset because you want to be who you want to be and you're not like I want you to be. You know, so this topic of loneliness and want to be alone is not because we desire to be alone. Here's the challenge. I know you got something. And this is the reason why we do this, because I'm not the only one that's going to speak, but because I didn't prepare you guys for this, because in reality, I want to be sensitive and we want to be honest. This is the conversations that we have at the coffee shops.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is the environment that we want to share with the world. This is who Javier and Andy and Gerson are. We talk about subjects that could be uncomfortable, not only for us, but the people that we're ministering to. And most of the time, I tell you, leave me alone, not because I don't want your company, not because I don't want your friendship, not because I don't need you.
Come on, drop it on them.
I tell you, leave me alone is because I don't want to hear you telling me what I need to do. I don't want to hear truth. And this is what's happening with many youth, many people. We really don't want to hear what's good for us.
Can I just? It's not even youth.
No.
It's adults too.
Come on.
But one thing, going back, and this is all related. I don't want to hear your truth, and to me, that's why it's important that the word is part of what we share about, right? Because it's no longer Andy's truth, my truth, your truth. It's God's truth. So if you're gonna fight, you're not gonna fight with me. You're fighting with God's truth. Yeah. And hey, go fight with him. I have no problem. Like, it's not with me. But absolutely, by myself, I can be messy. Nobody's gonna tell me to clean up. By myself, I can wake up at noon. No one's gonna yell at me, right? But when you have someone else in your life, someone that you're accountable to, now, hey, should you really wake up at 1 p.m. after you stayed up till 4 a.m. playing video games? Yeah. Right? Your house, clean up your room. It's a mess, right? And that's real life stuff. But going deeper, should you be saying those words? Should you be thinking that way? Should you be spending your money on that? Should you be spending your time on that? I'm glad my parents did not leave me alone. I'm glad when I wanted to be left alone, it wasn't an option. In my head it was an option, but it never was an option. They were right there. My parents never let me close my door to my room for anything. Like, it was always open, literally, but also it was a form of me being transparent. I couldn't hide things. And so this is why they were able to confront me. And no, I didn't like it. But I recognize now, man, it's helped me so much. It's changed my life. That confrontation, that accountability that I had to give my parents. This is funny. I got married when I was 26. I lived in my parents' house until I got married. And up to the age of 26, I still had a curfew of 11 o'clock. Like most of my friends, senior year in high school, 18, they didn't really have a curfew. Yeah. Here I am, 26 years old, about to get married, engaged, and I still had an 11 o'clock curfew. But it didn't allow me to say to my parents, leave me alone. I'm going to stay out till whenever. It helped me. It kept me out of a lot of trouble. It kept me out of doing a lot of stupid things. So I'm thankful for not being left alone. But now as an adult, I've had that option, right? But because of what I learned as a child, I don't want to be left alone. I want people surrounding me. My wife was not yelling at me. She doesn't really yell at me, but she was correcting me last night on something. Actually, I was working on podcast stuff, and she's like, hey, have you finished this other thing that you said you needed to do that has priority? I was like, no. She was like, well, all right. Put my laptop away, went and did the other thing I needed to do, right? So I'm thankful for my wife. She doesn't leave me alone.
So my perspective from childhood is a lot different, in the sense that I was kind of wired to like to be alone, right? So I like to play by myself as a kid.
Were you an only child?
I wasn't an only child. I had older brother and a younger sister, but liked the peace and quiet of aloneness. And then that grew into when I was 10 years old. When I was 10 years old, my parents got a divorce. But before that, there was a lot of, I'll just say there was a lot of volume in the house. You know what I mean? And so I liked to shut the door and to be alone and to just be in my thoughts. But what I found later on, because that carried over into adolescent years, I found that it led to, when no one's not looking. We might have talked about this last time too with integrity, but when no one was looking and I was alone, getting into things I shouldn't, get into, looking at things I shouldn't look at, you know, things like that.
And we're going to call those things as they are.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. And so I think fast forward to today, not me individually, but like as a society as a whole, I think that's what we're up against because everything's so accessible. You can do anything in the confines of your own home on your phone. I told a story to somebody one time about being addicted to porn. And it used to be that you had to go to the local, you know, porn shop, and you had to be embarrassed to walk in and to make your selection and to walk out, and they would give you this black bag so nobody know where you've been, you know.
But everybody knew
But
because of the black
knew,
bag.
Exactly. And, you know, you're kind of like everybody's there for the same thing, but you do the walk of shame out of there. But now you don't have to do that anymore. It's all free. It's all accessible. Anybody can get to it. All you have to do is have Wi-Fi and a phone. You know? Yeah. And that's with video games. That's whatever. And that's the funny thing is, so let me play devil's advocate here for just a minute because this takes us where we're going. What about the community that I find online? You know, if I'm staying up until 4 a.m. in the morning, but I'm playing with these guys online. That's my community. It's my online community. Yeah. So what's the difference? That's a different direction, you know, that we could go to. And maybe that opens up, you know, a whole other area, but it is part of our.
And we talked about this on our other episode. Just because you're surrounded by a community, it doesn't mean it's the people you need to be with. So just because you are with people doesn't mean you're not alone. Right. There has been many people, and let's talk about those that play video games until 3 or 4 in the morning. I have nothing against that. I just don't have time or energy to do that. But
sleep
that community should be able to speak into people's lives. But they're not. There has been many statistics of people who have that community and commit suicide and are depressed, are lonely, they're stressed. And there's so many physical factors, and I'm not a doctor and I'm not going to go there, but I know that my body needs to rest. And then when my body is tired, then my mind is weak, then many things can go into my mind. So most of this communities that young people, adults put themselves in, they're not accountability communities. I don't think they care for each other.
Not really.
If they really cared, there wouldn't be a lot of suicide going on with a lot of kids that play video games. There wouldn't be a lot of depression. We need one another, but we need the right community. We need the right people that are telling us, Javier, you had a priority here. Did you do your priority? There's many priorities in our lives, and if everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority. Yeah. So it's important for us to understand that if people love us, they will say, so what you doing? Well, I'm in college. Or I got to work at 6 in the morning. So what are you doing awake? See, in the communities that I hang out when I was young, it was clubs. And we will go to the club when we get out of work at 12 1 a.m. And we wouldn't come home until 5 in the morning. And I had to go work at 7 a.m. And that was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
That's too much work.
You know,
You were tired.
that community didn't care for me. I actually had 2 jobs. I had a job from 7 to 3:30 and from 4:30 to 1 a.m. But by Sunday, I had no money because that community didn't care for me.
Right.
That community, all they wanted it was my paychecks so I can spend it on them. People want to be left alone because they have been with the wrong communities. I believe that when you really find a community, man, if it's up to me, I would tell you guys, hey, let's do this 24/7. Let's bring our wives, let's bring our children, and let's just be recording and just having conversations of life because this is important. Because this is the community I want to hang out with. The community that sees me doing wrong and says, hey, you're going to get hurt. Don't go that way. But people say most of the time, when I said, leave me alone, to my parents, to people who corrected me, it was because of that.
I think another reason for leave me alone is they've experienced hurt in relationships. So if each time I go in a relationship, I get hurt, then why should I just keep repeating that action when the reward is the same, right? I keep getting hurt. And that's not just in the world, but in the church.
So you want to go there?
Man, I didn't. That's not even the topic. But,
let's get comfortable now.
We just went from 45 minutes to an hour and 45.
Yeah.
But people have been hurt in all areas of life, but in the church where you're not supposed to get hurt, where you're supposed to show the love of God, where there's supposed to be forgiveness, grace, and mercy, that's where a lot of people have been hurt and maybe hurt the most. So then now we're talking about relationship in a good way, and they see a Bible, right? On here they see the Bible, and they're like, oh, nope, I've already did that, and I was hurt. I don't want to, why do I want to do it again? So I think that's another reason for leave me alone. When I'm by myself, nobody hurts me. I can be responsible on my own. I can keep myself accountable on my own. I don't need to be hurt.
Yeah, so... Yeah.
And honestly, just that's not something I've lived. And I don't even know why it hasn't happened to me. I think my parents, so my parents pastor since I was born, and I think because of how my parents were hurt by a lot of people. You experience it. People you help, invest, sacrifice your children's time for them. From one day to another, they leave and they're talking bad about your parents. And my parents, I think the way my parents processed that helped me to not be hurt. My parents always had a heart of, hey, what we did was for God. We would still do it over again.
Mm-hmm.
If we could go back. We would still love them. And so my parents modeled forgiveness, mercy, and grace, as this happened often during the transcourse of ministry. And I think that's why I can't say I've been hurt by the church, but I know people have. Have people failed me? Yes. But I think because of how I saw my parents model, I can say, hey, I forgive you, or I know you're not perfect. Like, one time Gerson cussed me out. You remember?
Oh, it's been a long time. No, I don't remember. Yeah.
No.
I slept since then.
No.
Yeah.
But we learn to forgive each other, right? So it's not something I've experienced, but I know a lot of people have. been hurt by the church, and they don't want any relationship because of that.
So let me ask you a question. So as a pastor's kid, how did that affect you moving forward in how you viewed the church? Seeing your parents, get hurt and being in that environment, what did that do to your faith? How did that affect you, as their child?
Because of my parents' response, I think I was able to see God's love more and more. And so it challenged me and pushed me to model God's love more and more. So as I lead today, I know that someone's going to hurt me. Someone's going to fail me. I talk to my team and I tell them, hey, I'm not perfect. I'm going to mess up. I mean, there's been situations during service where I'm really frustrated with someone not jumping in. Something as simple as, the pastor's mic wasn't on. And sound team didn't jump in. And everybody's just like, who's going to do it, right? And I've gotten mad in that moment. It wasn't a good reaction. It was anger, right?
Did you throw batteries at them?
I punched the wall, like secretly punched the wall, like as I was walking up front, and it's a concrete wall, so it was stupid of me. Yeah. But as I'm walking, I remember I just knocked the wall, and I was mad. Yeah. And then I think I know one or two of them saw it. Afterwards, I had to go apologize. Right? That was a terrible attitude. Like, yes, they need to go turn the pastor's mic on, but. So I tell my team, hey, I'm going to mess up. Transparency, accountability. Yeah. Like, I'm accountable to my team, even though I'm 10, 12 years older than the oldest person on my team. So does that answer? I think it helped me show God's love more. It pushed me. It drove me like, okay, this is the reality. Yeah. And this is God's love. Yeah. This is the pure. Let me try to walk in this as much as I can.
Yeah, well, I asked that because, your parents were modeling God's love to you within the arena of community, and you lived in their community, in their home, and so it all comes back around. Yeah, they could have reacted to the hurt totally differently. And that could be it, because we're talking also about church hurt. It's supposed to be the place, where you can come as you are and you can be broken and God will meet you where you are. But it's not. No. Usually.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is
so I think that plays into, well, I don't want to be a part of that community then, because that's hypocritical because of what we can make it, and when I say we, us, people as believers, it's easy to make it that way. We have to be cleaned up. We have to, that's a different topic, but that's the community that is presented, and people on the outside can see that, kind of like you said, I see the Bible, not been there, done that. Right. I don't want to go there.
And one of the things that is coming up as we're speaking, especially because of the main reason why rebrand exists, is that we have a perception or an idea of how the church should look. Everyone in the world. And the church has lost its power. And there is a balance. I tell people there's a balance between truth and grace. But we have become less compassionate in the sense that if any of us was perfect, we would not need Christ or anything else.
I wouldn't say the church has lost its power. I would say the church has lost its witness.
Yeah.
Because you know, the bride is the church, and we are all the church. And when we act or move as the church is supposed to, the power's there. The power of the gospel, you know, is just as powerful as it's always been. That never changes. But I think the witness is what we lose.
Yeah, or let me rephrase that then. Back in the day, if the church or the administration, not the people, but the church in general, people respected religious people. They might not agree with them, right, but they respected religious people. Yeah, back in the day. So that's what I meant with the power. People respected the church. They respected the church. Now, the church don't have that weight. Yeah. And maybe because we have forgotten to love people. And before you leave, before you turn off your phone or your YouTube, let us explain why we're here. I've been broken before. I've been hurt before. But here's the challenge that we have. People hurt us. People, human beings, they offended us, they hurt us, they mistreated us, they violated our trust. But I can go back in my mind, in my heart, in my memory, and I cannot recall a time where God hurt me, where God wasn't there for me.
But he gets all the blame, doesn't he?
Come on.
He gets all the blame.
So it, you know, this is why a lot of people want to be left alone. Right. I hear stories of people saying, look, as long as me and God are good, I don't need the church. Which that's a good statement. But why? You get there.
It's a trap.
You get there because you've been hurt. Because someone hurt you. And we talk about this most of our conversations, online and offline. How can we restore people's trust between them and God? And a matter of fact is that we can't. Right. We just got to earn the trust between them and us. Why? Because we're representatives of God.
Yes.
We might be the only God that they see in their lifetime representation.
Yes.
Not that we're gods.
No,
okay,
no.
So this is not don't
ambassadors of Christ.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. That they might not step into a church ever in their lives, but they saw the way I loved them.
Yes.
I might not agree with their lifestyle, but they saw the way I respected them. I might not agree with their ideas, but they saw the way I loved them as a human being created by God. And I believe that's when people say, leave me alone. Yeah. Because you don't respect me. We might disagree. The three of us, we might have disagreements. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That doesn't mean that we don't love each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I can totally disagree with you.
Yeah.
And still love you fully.
Yeah.
I don't have to, and that goes for anybody. I don't have to, back up, or there's a specific word I'm thinking of, but I lost it. But I don't have to, back you up on everything that you believe in and all the ways that you live.
Here's something that came up in my mind the other day. Most of the times, us as believers think that we have to defend this book.
Like God needs help defending himself.
You know, there's even Bibles that is. I have one. It says the Apologetic Bible. You know, how to defend your faith. To tell you the truth, I think we don't need to defend this book. The book defends on its own.
It says preach the gospel, not defend the gospel.
You know, so why is it important for us to continue having conversations, and for our listeners to send us messages, questions, conversations? Why is it important that we have conversations about this loneliness? Because you said it. In many times, it's a trap. God said it. It's not good for us to be alone. Because let me tell you something. Some parents are looking forward to the day their kids graduate, go to college, and out. I'm good. I did my job, and now it's only me and my wife. I don't know what they're thinking about. I wish I have all my 5 kids and my 14 grandkids living with me. My wife, maybe not. But I wish I have them with me. Because we might drive each other crazy. That's okay. But when I go to school or when I go travel for work by myself, that's when I most value my wife, my kids, the real people that are around me. When we don't see each other that often, I'm like, hey, Javier, what's up, man? What's going on? But I've been in hotel rooms, and many people would be like, whew, relax, no wife, no kids, no dog. I'm like, man, I feel lonely. I'm like, yes, you always have Christ with you. But if he didn't know that community was important, he would only form Adam, and we don't need anyone else. Adam, just hang out with the animals. You be cool. Ride the horses, the lions, hang out with them. You don't need anyone else. But it is important that we value each other. Because when we are alone, temptation comes. Pornography is just at the door when you open up the phone. You don't even have to. You just open Google, and you just open Google, and there is there.
Just type a P, and that'll suggest.
No, bro, you don't have to type anything. The pictures of naked women and men, and that's reality.
Yeah. Facebook, Instagram, Explore page.
Yeah, there is, and if you are alone and you don't have accountability, you will fall. If you're a married man, you're already committing sin against your wife and God. Yeah. And that's something that I believe most men struggle. Yeah. Most men. I think, I don't know why we're going here, but I think if, this is just my opinion, if Joseph would have stayed 5 more minutes with Pharaoh's wife, he probably would have fell.
She's probably a fine-looking lady.
And if he would have stayed 5 more minutes, contemplated sin, because that's the issue. Okay, I can say no when I turn my phone off and I'm with people. When I'm by myself, I have to be constantly saying no. And then it goes, yeah, it's just a look. Oh, well, that's a pretty face. Let me see what she's wearing. Hey. And by the time you know it, you're going down that hole.
As David, right?
Yes.
Bathsheba. The whole thing, man. All he had to do was see it, and then look a little bit longer, and it leads to action.
It led
That's the
to
thing.
some nasty darkness.
Oh, murder, adultery,
rape.
Yeah, I mean,
in a sense,
you name it. You know,
And here's the thing. He wanted to be alone.
Yeah, he wasn't supposed to be alone. He was supposed to be out with the army.
He's the king. He has to be in front of the battle.
Was it springtime when the kings go out to war?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and
He was chilling at home.
and we
Watching
we
people
as
take baths.
community, young people and old people, you bad. Young
Not people.
and old people.
Bathsheba.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Bathsheba. You know,
Bathsheba.
this is why they don't design buildings like that with showers that are open
Right.
anymore, because everyone would fall.
It'd be over.
Hey,
But-
hold on. Do you think she knew? I mean,
You always feel like
mean-
someone's watching you.
no. I'm saying, did she she was strategic? She knew the king was up there? Just a question.
Hey, that
I don't know.
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing. She knew that could be a possibility because he probably, he would have been at the highest point of the city of David.
Yeah.
He's the king.
Yeah.
He has to overlook his kingdom. So there's a chance.
I haven't studied
I
that.
don't know. Maybe she wouldn't.
It's
think
still
about
on
that.
David.
Watch this.
I'm not blaming her. It's on David.
Yeah.
And watch this. Yeah. We always want to.
Hey,
That
so-
woman
so-
that you gave me.
Yeah. Hey man, that's
It was
not working
Bathsheba.
out.
The woman that you gave me. So no, it was David's fault. He should have been in war. He
Yeah.
should have been fighting.
Yes.
But we can get set up, and the reason we fall is because we are alone.
There's a reason why he says, "I'm going to give you a helper." Right? That's
Yeah.
what he calls her,
Yeah.
a helper.
Yeah.
It's interesting that he calls the Holy Spirit the helper as well. The same thing. It's interesting,
You know,
Why?
because he's convicting us.
Right.
He's reminding us who he is. He is encouraging us not to do the things we are tempted to do. He is showing us the way. And here's the disagreement that I have with people that say me and God. And if you and God are cool and you and God are good, then, man, your life should be reflecting that.
In your relationships with.
And your relationships with God's bride.
Yeah.
So I had this conversation with one of my kids, adopted kid, and how can you say you love God, or how can you say you love me, but don't love my wife? How can you love me? If I come and say, Andy, I love you, bro, but I hate Stacy.
Man, that's Stacy.
I don't want to.
Oh,
I don't want to hang
Stacey?
out. I don't want to hang out with her.
That's
Stacy,
until
you're gonna
now.
be here one of these
Until
days,
now.
and you're gonna have to be like Javi says. You cursed at me, so I'm gonna curse at you back. No, Stacy, you're just the example. I love you, but don't we do that?
Yeah.
We say, hey, I love you, but I don't love this person that you love, this bride, the church that you design. Yes, the church has made a lot of mistakes, and we're going to talk about those mistakes because it's important for us to have those conversations. A lot of mistakes that has been done with the church is because of legalism, is because of tradition. I preached this last Sunday, so it's very fresh. And ritualism. Those are a lot of mistakes that the church do, and because of that, we hurt people.
Truth is
Go ahead.
truth is sacrificed for all those things.
Yeah.
God's truth is sacrificed for all those things, and that's I think that's awful.
I was just going to say, the common thread with all of those is who makes up the church. Broken people.
Yeah.
Sinful people. Us. We're broken.
Yeah.
So how can it be God's fault if I hurt you, and you go to my church?
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with God. It's me.
Yeah.
It's my problem. It's my issue. We mess things up, Whatever we touch, we mess it up.
Yeah, and this is why when I think about what has God called us to do, at least the five of us. I'm gonna count Luis here.
Yes. Shout out to Gus.
Gus and Luis
Taking
and
care of sound today.
Andy, Javi, and I, and our wives, all of our wives. So it's 10 of us. What we really do and what we hope to do all the time as we share our stories, that you may find that Christ is the only hope for the world.
Amen.
And we as human beings, we're going to hurt each other. But if we find Christ and he's in the center of our relationships, then we will not be alone. We should not want to be alone. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be let alone. Because if I'm by myself, I will mess up. I need people that love me and care for me so I don't mess up. Because my own flesh, my own desire says, go and mess up. That's what my desires are. So as we wrap up this session, as we wrap up this episode here, I want to leave you with this, that we will mess up, but if we find the right community, we should not want to be alone. Mm-hmm. Have a great day. Have a blessed day. And hope to see you soon. And hope that you connect, that you see us and come back again. Any last words?
I enjoyed this. This was fun. It was good.
Yeah.
It was a good conversation.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Until the next one.
Peace, everybody.
All right.